Good afternoon. My name is Susan Beals. I'm the Commissioner of Elections for the Commonwealth of Virginia. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. As you know, this is the second of 3 media briefings scheduled for today. We are here to provide an update on how things are going and also to offer you a preview of what you can expect after the polls close this evening. First, just a couple reminders for voters. Anyone who is in line at 7 p.m. when polling places close will be allowed to vote, so please stay in line. You will start to see results populating to the state website after polls close at 7 p.m. And we're going to go ahead and do a brief presentation again to show you what some of that's going to look like on our website. So when you go to the front page of our website, you will see a place to click for election night results. There will be a results map. You are able to click on any one of the counties or cities in Virginia, and it will automatically pull it up for you. If you're not sure where it's located, you can also type it into that bar at the bottom, and it will bring up the locality that you're looking for. For individual races, it will show you for the entire race what the current vote count is. And you can also view results by locality. So in the lower left right-hand corner, you can click on that and see what one particular locality would look like for that race. This is an example here for Accomack County. There are 5 types of results that are going to be populating on the results page. Not all of them are going to be populating tonight. The 3 kinds that you will see populate tonight are early in-person votes, absentee by mail votes, and election day votes. The provisional and post-election votes will be populating later on before we certify the results. If you want to see how that is broken down in a locality, you can click on, this is for an actual full race, so for the race for president and vice president. If you want to see how people are choosing to vote in that race, you can click on vote method, and it's going to break it down for you. This is new. This is something we did not have in 2020. If you recall, when we reported our results in 2020, early votes and absentee votes were in one big chunk. And so since that time, the law has changed. We have broken those out. You now see early and absentee by mail as separate. And then we will break it down even further by precinct. That'll be available about 7 days after the election. That won't be available election night, but you certainly will be able to see it by locality broken down on election night. So again, this is what it's going to look like in a precinct. This would be a precinct's results. Again, you would click on vote method, and you would be able to see it broken down by how people are choosing to vote within that precinct. But again, that's not going to be available until about 7 days after the election. Tonight, our main focus is on getting the consolidated results reported as quickly as possible. We also have some tracking of when different localities have reported and the degree to which they have reported. And so this gives you reporting status per locality. It tells you what votes are in and what is left and outstanding in that locality to give you an idea of what has been reported and what has not yet been reported per locality. So the different statuses, they would be either not reported, they're election night reported, or fully reported. Fully reported is going to be closer to November 15th to certification when everything, including provisionals and those post-election ballots, are reported. Again, it looks like this. This is a breakdown of all the different localities, so you can get a clear picture of where different localities stand in terms of their reporting. In terms of issues, I did want to give you one update. We were contacted by the Richmond City Electoral Board. They let us know they were having an emergency meeting to go ahead and remove the precinct chief at precinct 310, and they have gone ahead and replaced that individual with a different person who is now running that precinct. And with that, I would be happy to take any of your questions. Yes, Marcus?
Quick question, do you have any statewide data for provisional ballots?
So right now we don't have anything statewide other than what we knew as of this morning, which is that we had about 16,000, 17,000 statewide.
We've seen and heard more of multiple issues that have come up so far from voters throughout the day in Virginia. Can you detail what measures and plan are in place to ensure voters are able to cast their votes if issues like these continue to pop up? And do you anticipate in needing to take more significant steps to ensure everyone looking forward to vote today can do so?
Can you give me an example of the types of issues that you've heard about?
To the precinct where the chief election official has to be removed. What other measures are going to be in place if issues in relation to that are going to pop up?
Right. Our registrars and our electoral boards are constantly surveilling their precincts. They're visiting them in person to make sure that if any issues occur, that they address them immediately. Having been an electoral board member in Chesterfield for 3 years, that was one of the things that I did on election day. I would visit 27 precincts throughout the day and make sure that they had the supplies that they needed. If they had any issues at the precincts, we would rectify those on the spot. So in most of the counties, cities that we've talked to today, they have people who are on the ground actively monitoring what's happening in their locality and making sure they're dealing with problems as soon as they happen.
Trevor Metcalf with the Virginia Pilot. Do you have a question?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sure, we had reports of long lines and some issues at the Phoebus High School location in, I believe, Hampton, Virginia, due to a bunch of Hampton University students being bussed over by the school and having to be issued provisional ballots. Do you guys know anything about that or have any updates on what the situation is there? Thanks.
So we have heard that there are long lines in some localities that have universities and colleges, as a lot of those students have been encouraged to same-day register today. We have been in touch with those localities, and in every case, they are deploying more officers of election and supplies to those universities, to those precincts on their campuses. And what we would just encourage everyone to do, as I said at the top, is please make sure you stay in line. Even if the 7 o'clock hour passes, they will process you, and they do want you to vote. So please do not get out of line.
Just back to Richmond again, can you give us a sense of just...
Thank you.
Do you know why they chose to remove her, what exactly it was about that, and how rare something like that is? And just another potential, and then back to that question, is VCU one of the places you're seeing this high influx of provisional ballots? And then finally, hearing reports about some jamming issues at precincts in Chesterfield on some of the machines there with the paper ballots. Do you know anything about that?
In Chesterfield, we heard briefly of an issue this morning that I believe was resolved by 8 a.m. Have not heard anything more out of Chesterfield in terms of anything with machines or issues. In terms of VCU, I have not heard specifically anything about VCU. And I'm sorry, what was the other?
Or do you know the reason why they chose to remove her, and just how rare or common is something like that to have a removal like that on election day?
Right. I wasn't part of the board meeting, so that was the Richmond Electoral Board, so I don't know exactly all of the specifics of the situation, but they did contact us to let us know that that was occurring.
Michael O'Connor with the Dogwood. Do you have a question for us?
Yes. For the 11 ballots that were given out, were those voters able to cast a vote?
For the 11 ballots, they did cast 11 ballots. Yes, sir.
Right, but they were misprinted. Were they able to cast votes on the correct ballots?
So my understanding of the situation is that they cast ballots on federal only or presidential only ballots, which only included the office of President of the United States. It's unclear to us if they were presidential only or federal only. Those are two types of ballots that are made available to voters who have specific situations, like they may have moved just before a presidential election. It makes it available to them. So those ballots, as far as I understand, did not include the local races.
So they aren't given a chance to cast a different ballot with all the races that they're eligible to vote for?
That's correct, because you can only put one ballot into the machine.
Tracy Cooper, could you please tell us who you're with when you ask your question? Thanks.
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I'm with 13 News Now, and I'm filling in for Gennaro Bussi on this briefing. I wanted to ask about the precinct chief in Richmond. Was there any actual issue with that person that was discovered besides just a miscommunication or some sort of miscue? What was the reason for removing that person in the middle of the day?
Right. The questions about the precinct chief in Richmond that was removed, I don't have any of the particular details. We were not involved in that board meeting and did not hear any of the reasons why.
Yeah, WDBJ7, do you have a question? Okay, moving on. Barry, you're on the phone. Do you have a question? Okay, moving on. Patrick Larson. Nick Gilmore. Luca Powell. Elizabeth Byer. Emily Lehman.
Sure, I will ask one. Emily Lehman with patch.com. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
So I was wondering if you have any data showing if any of the voters that were removed from the voter rolls, if they were able to do same day registration.
We do not have any data on that right now.
Topic. I did go back and listen to that September meeting. You gave a percentage chance of accuracy in reporting non-citizen voters between 65 and 70%. Does that mean that 3 out of 10 alleged non-citizens could have likely been legal citizens?
The question that I was asked was regarding the confidence factor that is used for matching. And so those are the data elements that we use when we are trying to determine if we have a match to someone on our voter list. Virginia is unique in that we are one of only 3 states in the nation that has people register with a full 9-digit social security number, and that receives a very high confidence factor score in determining that you actually have the correct person. A lot of other states use the last 4 of the social, which you can imagine is easier to make, potentially have the wrong person. So that is how our confidence factor matching occurs. That is not a percentage of failure to identify the wrong person. That is how we go about matching to say, do these data elements match with this individual?
Rick Yarborough, do you have a question for us?
Yeah, real quick, thank you. The FBI has reported several states around the country had bomb threats reported that turned out to be not credible in several states. Maryland received one. Do you know of any that were received at polling locations in Virginia?
We have not received any bomb threats in Virginia.
All right, thank you.
Christopher Goad, RBA Mag. Has there been any instances reported to the Department of Elections involving things having to be shut down, whether it's fire alarms or any other unintended consequences?
We have not heard of any instances of precincts having to be shut down for any reason.
Last on the phone, Denise Lavoie, do you have any questions for us?
Do you have an update on the folks from the DOJ that are in Virginia monitoring several precincts? Has there been any cooperation between the department and these officials? Or?
Whenever an observer comes to Virginia, they are to work with that locality's registrar to observe, and so we send them to the locality. So I think that has been worked out with each of those localities one-on-one.
Between you guys and the DOJ?
Correct.
And last question, Cam?
And I know you said you don't have provisional ballot data, but just overall, have you been getting reports from the different registrars in terms of what turnout has been like so far today? I saw, one internal counting that Williamsburg has already surpassed 2020 totals. Have you gotten an idea of what sort of turnout we're seeing this year?
We don't have a requirement that registrars report turnout to us during the day. So, what we're hearing is just anecdotal like what you are. So I had not heard that yet. But we are hearing that, certainly in some college towns that there is quite a bit of students who have turned out to try to vote same-day registration. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. We will see you again at 9 o'clock.